everyone else decides to join us right away, welcome to Valkyrie Gaming's Learn to Play character creation for our upcoming game of Wrath and Glory, the newly released version 2 of the 40k RPG, this time by Cubicle 7, the creators of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, a few other games, and soon to come Soulbound, which I'm hoping for next week. So I have had a chance to read through the rules mostly, not all of it, but most of it, over the last week or two since the game was released. I got a decent understanding of how the system works, but right now I'm going to get some of the characters created for our game on Saturday. One of the players is in the Discord for Wrath and Glory with me as well. He does a lot of theory crafting around the system to see what works, what doesn't. So he's going to make his own character sheet. He's actually got it done already. And I think, Cleric, you gave me something earlier in the Discord. Was that your... Right, that was just the playlist for Sefenia, as you'll be reprising that role. Which, you know what, I wonder if Sefenia Grigori... I wonder if I can do this. Okay, that was a little bit loud. Okay, let's get one more. Right, yes, she is of the Order of Our Martyred Lady. I'm not too sure what two of the others are going to be. I know Storywonker has a different order for his. I know with the new Sisters of Battle box that's been out for painting, I've been painting mine up as the Argent Shroud. Really enjoying that color scheme. Okay. Do that, and then let's hide it. There. Yeah, so I think we'll be able to get her set up like what she was as a frontline assault with chain weapons and some distance weapons. The character creation process for Wrath and Glory is actually pretty decent. It's... You can have almost like a pre-canned character right off the gate. They have some suggested skills and abilities that you can take if you want to get going as quick as possible, or you can go in and do a bit more of a detailed creation by assigning the attributes themselves. Okay, I need sound on here. Okay, I think I know how I can do this. No, that's not going to work. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with too much right now. I will play with that later. Alright, so... Nice. Yeah, we just started to get our plants planted, seeds planted the other day, which was nice. It's finally been nice out up here. Alright, so let's get that off to the side and let's get this going. Hey Luke, how's it going? Alright, so yeah, we're just starting to get some character creation done for our upcoming game this Saturday. I kind of want to have the PDF up on screen as well, but I don't know if that would be copyright at this point. Alright, so yeah, going through creating a character. They have it broken down into 5 steps. First is to create your framework. The framework is going to be what your party is built on. So whether you're going to have a game of like a sneaky game with a bunch of stealthy characters, or just an average rogue trader group, which could be somebody from the Imperial Guard or the Adeptus Sororitas. The Adeptus Astartes could be in there as well. You could do an Orc game, an Eldar game, because Orcs and Eldar are in this as well. The archetypes themselves are pretty easy to crack for doing some custom archetypes. I've got a few plans for some Celestians and Repentia to help round out the Sisters of Battle. So yeah, once you have your framework done, like what kind of game you and your group are going to play, then we would move on to the archetype. So for our game coming up, everybody is playing Adeptus Sororitas, which is freaking awesome because I love the Sisters of Battle. So the archetype in this case is going to be easy. But if you wanted to go in and choose something different, like I was saying, there's forces from the Imperium, from Orcs, Eldar. You can do the Adeptus Ministorum, the Adeptus Sororitas, Adeptus Astartes, the Inquisition, Astra Militarum. Pretty much anything that you can normally play in 40k, you can play here. If you want to be a ganger, you can go and roll up some scum. There's a pretty wide range of archetypes that you can choose from right out of the gate, which is pretty cool. Next, you go on to customizing your character. So now that you know what kind of character you want to play, now you can go in and add some quirks, foibles, and individuality to your character. You can tweak your attributes, skills, and talents to make them unique from everyone else that you're playing with. Then from there, you will know what faction you belong with based upon the archetype that you choose, and then you'll go into adding some detail, like what their life is like, what their personality is like, any physical attributes that may stand out. So in comparison to some of the other Warhammer role-playing games, character creation in this one is a little... There we go. The cable's gotten loose. Alright, so creating your framework. We're not going to worry about that too much because we know that we're playing a whole bunch of Sisters of Battle. So like in the example here, Marcus, Muna, Elliot, and Abby want to play a game with a bit of everything, exploring the dark corners of the Gilead system, social interaction with its strange and desperate inhabitants, and high-octane combat. They also want to be heroic, or as heroic as they can be in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. So at that point, the GM would suggest that they might like to work for a rogue trader by the name of Jackal Veronis, which is one of the iconic characters throughout Wrath and Glory. So from there, the group agrees that that would be a fun idea and decides to play at Tier 2. Not too deadly, so perfect for first-time players. Now, the levels of play are broken down into tiers. You have typically from Tier 1 to 4. 1 being the weakest, like newish characters. for being your higher echelon type characters. So if you look at Tier 1, archetypes that would fall into a Tier 1 character would be a Sister Hospitaller for the Adeptus Sororitas, Ministorum Priest, a Guardsman from the Imperial Guard, an Inquisitorial Acolyte or Sage, a Ganger, a Corsair from the Eldari, or an Orc Boy from the Orcs. They're your basic starter type characters. Moving on to Tier 2 is where you'll find the Sister of Battle, like an actual battle sister, Sanctioned Psyker, Scatarius from the Adeptus Mechanicus, Death Cult Assassin, Tempestus Scion, what else? Rogue Trader, Scavvy from the Scum faction, a Space Marine Scout, but not to be confused with a Wolf Scout, which would have a bit of a different setup because Space Wolves are freaking awesome, and they do things just a little bit differently. Then you would find the Ranger for the Eldari and a Commando for the Orc. Moving up to Tier 3 is where you'd find the Tech Priest, Crusader, a Commissar from the Astra Militarum, a Desperado, which is a multi-skilled gun for hire on the fringes of Imperial Society, and they fall into the Scum faction. Then we would have a Tactical Space Marine, a Warlock with the Eldari, and a Nob with the Orcs. Then moving up to Tier 4, we have an Inquisitor and a Primaris Intercessor from the Primaris Astartes. So there's quite a wide range of archetypes you can play, spanning the Discord distracted me. You can play a wide range of archetypes spanning all the tiers to give you a pretty tailored sense of play as you go through. And then, like I was saying previous, it is very easy to be able to work at creating some new archetypes if you want to play something different. Like I was saying, I got plans for a Celestian and a Repentia just off the top of my head. I'm sure I could flesh out an entire Sororitas archetype lineup. Alright, so what I was saying before is we're going to be playing all Sisters Battle. We are also going to be running at Tier 2, so we all have Battle Sisters. So, I have to find the right spot here. Okay, so we got the archetype picked out. And that is on page 99. Now, being that this PDF is recently out, there are some little hiccups that we may come across during the course of creation. We are underway of getting that, getting a lot of those issues identified for Cubicle 7, and I think cutoff is tomorrow, so hopefully they'll be able to get things working rather quick to get an updated PDF sent out to those who've pre-ordered already. If you are wanting to pre-order, if you go to the Cubicle 7 website and pre-order the book, the physical book, you can get the PDF immediately. And I think they might be set up now to get the PDF from their website, like just the PDF. Before, you would have to go through Drive-Thru RPG. And while that is still an option, I think their website gives you another option to do that as well. Alright, so the character sheets, as you can see on the screen. Alright, I can't control that from there. At the very top, you'll see there is the player name, the character name, the tier, species, archetype, what rank they are, what faction they belong to, and any keywords that pertain to the character. We'll get into keywords a little bit afterwards. They are an important part of the game. Below that, you'll see the attributes, which is strength, toughness, agility, initiative, willpower, intellect, and fellowship. It's your pretty standard breakdown for most RPGs for attributes. And then skills right below that I feel are pretty straightforward. How good your character is at specific skills. On the right hand side, there's Wrath. Wrath is a meta currency that you can accrue during the game. Same with I think there's something else. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. There's a few different little additions to the system that we have to watch out for, which we'll go through on Saturday's game in more detail. Objective on the right-hand side would be what your character is aiming to do over the course of this session or campaign, as well as their conviction, their resolve. I'll go through that in a little bit here. Their size, like how big are they, how fast they are. Their speed is based upon what their species is, so whether they're Eldari, Orc, Human, Adeptus Astartes. And then their defense, which is a base defense number plus their armor would give them their defense, I think. We'll go through that in a little bit. And then their wounds are comprised of their toughness and their tier. So since we're playing tier 2, if they had a toughness of 3, then their wounds would be 5. And then their shock is almost like padding for their wounds. We'll get into that when we come across it on Saturday. Then down below we have our war gear. So your typical Warhammer 40,000 war gear will go here, like your power sword, your chain sword, your bolt gun, las pistol, las gun, heavy flamer, heavy bolter, melta weapons, orc choppa, shuriken blaster, and then armor, pretty straightforward, and the gear below that. Second page, we have a list of talents and abilities. Talents in this game are a good way to vary your character from somebody else's. What traumatic injuries they may get over the course of play, memorable injuries, mutations, which may or may not be a good thing depending on what kind of game you're wanting to play. Chaos is always an option. Depends who you ask. Corruption points. Any psychic powers if you are a psychic character, and any other notes, your stealth and your passive awareness. Those will go through a little bit later for passive awareness, and stealth we will deal with on Saturday. And then your XP earned and your current XP, if you've spent some to increase your rank or whatever. Alright, so, any questions up to this point? No, good. Okay, so, next step. We know our archetype. And based upon our archetype, we know what our faction is. And we know what our species is. We got names that we could choose from at this point, but let's move on to our species. Let's call them framework. They say species bonuses. So each species gets specific attributes, skills, speed, and abilities. But depending on your species, those may come at a cost. So if you are when you're creating your character, depending on the tier that you play will depend on the amount of experience that you get to spend on your character. So in this case, we are going to be playing tier 2 characters, so we get 200 experience points to spend on our character. There's anything from a human, which is at 0 cost, They get no bonus attributes. They get no bonus skills. They get a standard of 6 speed, and they get no special abilities. The Adeptus Astartes, they cost 160 XP to start. But they get a bunch of attributes right from the very start. They get a bunch of skills. Their speed's a little bit faster, and they get special abilities. Primaris Astartes are a little bit more for an XP cost. They get some better attributes. They get a few better skills. They're the same speed as your standard Astartes, and they get a few more abilities in addition to what they would normally get with the Astartes species bonus. And then the same thing for the Eldari and the Orcs. The Eldari will cost 10 XP, the Orcs will cost 20. So if we're rolling with tier 2 characters, we have 200 XP to start. If you're wanting to roll up an Astartes character, then you're not going to have a lot of XP to spend in tweaking your character afterwards. But if you're rolling with a human or Eldari or Orc, you have a lot of experience to be able to tweak your character as you want. Now, as a note, the XP costs that you're spending for some of these species and their bonuses are already factored into what you're actually getting. So the total of the attributes that you are selecting are already in the XP cost. So it's not so much that you're spending your, I don't know how to word it, it's just quicker and easier to be able to have those presets already in place to get your character to a base level for that species than it is to try and get it pieced out bit by bit. If that makes sense. So yeah, there is a call out here, no bonus for humans. Every human is gifted the joy of a life in service to the Emperor. Nothing more could be wanted or asked for. To discard this boon for any other save the immortal vigil of the Astartes would surely be treachery or madness. Humans don't get any special abilities or attribute bonuses, but they also have more XP to spend. So you have more opportunity to customize your character however you want. So there's some trade-offs there. I mean, to be fair, a lot of Astartes are kind of carbon copies of the one that's right beside him. Then going into rough details, you have your age, your appearance. One of the things I pointed out to them on the character sheet is the lack of a space to be able to put in your appearance information, which I feel is kind of critical for quick reference, as well as keeping it in line with the other 2 lines of Warhammer role-playing games that Cubicle 7 has. I mean, they have it on the Soulbound character sheet, which have been teased a few days ago. They have it on the Warhammer Fantasy character sheets, so I don't know why they didn't have it on here. Hopefully they will get that put in, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. The thing with Cubicle 7 doing Wrath and Glory is they took it over for Ulysses, so they're kind of building upon what was already there and doing some tweaks, so they may not have put a lot of time into the character sheet itself. Alright, so languages, I won't worry about that too much. Each species has their own set of languages that they're going to know. Like the Orcs have their own, the Eldari have their own. The Cant Mechanicus is used by the Adeptus Mechanicus. High Gothic is typically used throughout the Imperium. Like the Adeptus Ministorum, the Astartes, the Mechanicus, they all use it. Now we can roll our eye color, our height. There's an issue here with the height. Age. Any type of additional features you want, we have options for that, but we'll get that going a little bit afterwards. Sorry. Let's chat up on a text here. It is a text of my kitties. Which, as we all know, anyone who has cats, we have to stop and check out our cat pics. Then character creation goes into bringing your character to life. I'm starting to see this on a lot of character creation sections now where you ask 10 questions about your character, about who they are, what their goals are. In this case, where are you from? How were you raised? How did you join your faction? Who are your friends? What are your most significant memories? Personality-wise, what is your greatest desire? What is your greatest fear? What do you believe in? Obviously the Emperor. To whom or what are you loyal? To the Imperium. And why are you in the Gilead system? Now, our game on Saturday will not take place in the Gilead system. I will have to do some reading up on that a little bit more for future games, but for now, I have a little surprise in store. I'm excited for it, and I hope everyone else will be as well. But that's all I'm going to say. Alright, so your rank. Your rank is a measure of your aptitude in your tier. Some of your abilities and talents may be modified by your rank. Unless the GM says otherwise, you start at rank 1. As you adventure through the Gilead system or wherever else the GM decides to throw you, and gain experience points, your rank increases, which is covered in the advancement chapter. Then there's traits, combat traits, which would include your defense, your resilience, wounds, determination, shock. Mental traits will be your corruption, your conviction, your resolve, your passive awareness, and your social traits will be influence and your wealth. And that's kind of the rough breakdown of the character creation for Wrath and Glory. Then we can get into advanced character creation. From there we could go and have essentially full control over the entire character creation process if you want to. But we're going to avoid that for now, for the most part. There may be one or two things that we change, but that'll be pretty much war gear based, just to get a variety of play styles going with our characters. Like we have close combat with Sifenia. I know Aina's character will have a heavy bolter. I can't remember what Roder said that he wants for his. And Storywonker has dual bolt pistols for his character. So we'll be able to go through a bunch of different scenarios with combat on Saturday, having those different weapons. Alright, so let's start writing stuff down. Okay, so let's start with Cleric's character. Player name, Cleric of Cord. Oops. Her character name is Sifenia. Is that spelled right? No. Gory. She is tier 2. She is a human. A sister of battle. Rank 1. Adepta Sororitas. And we'll hold off on the keywords just for now. Just have to scroll through some of the faction information here. Okay, so yes, I am Ibram. He is asking, oh wait, are you doing pre-gens for them? Yes, because I like these players. Unlike my Warhammer Fantasy players. No, the first series that we ran was Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It is up on YouTube. If you want to go check it out, I think it's under Foxfire22, so kind of the same thing as what I got for my Twitch. And some character creation's easy, some is hard, some takes a long time, some requires some assistance. The Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay one isn't the easiest to go through. Even after knowing what I'm doing, it still took me about half an hour to get through one of them. So I figure it would just be easier for me to go through a character creation solo stream before game, get these set up so I can go through the character creation process away from our game itself. And then the players don't have to worry about the character creation aspect as much. We can just dive into the game. It would be no different if we were playing a starter set, like say I was looking at Scion earlier on, which had 5 pre-gen characters provided with the Jumpstart Adventure. It just helps get the game going that much faster. And then at that point, I know exactly what's been created, and I can help guide players through some of their choices as we learn how to play the game. So it is nothing against the Series 1 players. It just, I think it'll be a little bit better setting it up this way from here on in. But like I want to do, I may change things as we go along. Right, so the order keyword. We were talking about keywords a little bit earlier. Yeah, like Dad Hammer saying, easy. Players can give you an idea for what they want, and you can accommodate if need be. Like I had a conversation with my players earlier on as to what kind of character they wanted to play weapon-wise. Like I was saying, one of the players has dual bolt pistols. Sifenia is going to have a bolt gun or bolt pistol and a chain sword. Ana's character is going to have a heavy bolter. That way they get have a play style that is something that they want to play while maintaining the sorry, I lost my train of thought. Looking at chat as I'm going. I was half tempted to get an archetype ready to go for one of the players for Sister Repentia. They have no armor, but they have a big-ass chainsword. Alright, so keywords starting off for Adeptus Sororitas. We start off with the order keyword. The Adeptus Sororitas serve the Emperor in manifold ways. You can replace your order keyword with any order. When attempting an action associated with your order, the GM may grant you bonus dice. Now in this case, we're not going to have the order play in too much, but we know that Sifenia Grigori is a sister of our martyred lady. There. Alright, so that is her order. So if we were to play in future games, and something came up that was pretty significant to our martyred lady, then that keyword would come into play. And there's different orders as well within the Sororitas. There's the Orders Militant, the Orders Dialogus, the Orders Famulus, the Hospitaller, Sabine, and Pronatus. Actually, I believe Story Wonker's order is Pronatus. They're kind of like an architect, or not an architect, archaeologist of sort. Alright, so rolling on. The archetypes, we know that we're playing Sisters Battle, which is tier 2. We get a rule for backgrounds now. Actually, you know what, that's one thing I missed. So give me 1 second here. Load campaign. Let's just use this one. Alright, so yeah, anybody who's listening now live on Twitch, feel free to ask questions if you have them. If anyone is watching later on when this posts to YouTube, feel free to send me messages over Twitch or Discord if you know where to find me, or Twitter, Foxfire22, FOXFYRE22. And any questions you have, I would be more than happy to answer them within reason. Alright, so I'm just getting my Fantasy Grounds booted up here. Well, Luke, all you gotta do is go to the sign-up sheet, which I have posted in various places, and throw your name. Seriously though, upgrade on the first version of Wrath and Glory. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Alright, Fantasy Grounds. Boom. Okay. Oops. So while I'm waiting for him to clarify that, we have our first table that we get to roll on during character creation, and that is the Adepta Sororitas backgrounds. For this, we're going to be rolling a D3. So our first one we're rolling is our origin. Roll the D3. 2. So heresy begets retribution. Your origin story for the backgrounds is you survived a brutal heretical assault at great sacrifice to you. At great sacrifice you emerged triumphant through your zeal. Their attacks only... That's twice now. Anyway, their attacks only made your faith in him stronger, which gives you a +1 to your determination. So, background. Origin. We'll go just for shorthand. 1. And Cleric is saying, actually that is her backstory, so that's working out rather well. Alright, so she was orphaned and sent to the school. Good. Well, not good that she was orphaned and sent to, this, was it the Schola Progenium? Or is that just for commissars and stuff? Yeah, no, I think the sisters are sent to the Schola as well. Alright, so that is that. Then we move on to her accomplishment. D3 again, and this time we get a 3. Saving souls. The strongest waver in the face of nightmarish terror in the Gilead. You banish the doubts and fears of those who struggled on their path of the Imperial Creed. And that will net her a +1 to her conviction. Conviction we'll go through a little bit later. No, not 10. 1. Accomplishment. Convict +1. And then finally, her goal. Alright, so that's a D4. There's no 4. Let's roll again. Alright, 1. Reclaim a relic. Long ago, an important Ministorum relic went missing. You would do anything to recover this relic and restore it to the Ecclesiarchy, which would bestow upon her another +1 to determination. And also that would actually work really well with Story Wonker's character because she's like a relic hunter of sorts. So, and then we'll do goal, determination +1 as well. Yeah, I was reading yesterday about determination. Your determination is your toughness, and in this case we add 2 to it, which would be used to shrug off wounds and convert them to shock. Alright, so now finally on the rolly table, we have the Adepta Sororitas objectives. And this is a D6. We get a 4, which is fill your lungs with a bolstering hymn in a time of stress. I think your objectives, if you successfully meet one of them during the course of a session, you would get maybe extra XP or something. So this one, whenever times get down, sing a song. And then that reminds me of one of those Beatles songs. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's one of my favorite parts in Across the Universe. She did not die. La 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 la. living saint. Yeah, Cleric was just saying that in another game that she had on Encounter Roleplay with her character, she ended up dying later on. But that's spoilers. 10 stories in a lake of acid. Yeah, that happened. And then I think, what did you roll afterwards? A tech priest or something? Okay, let's scroll through some of the other archetype and factions. Eldari, orcs. Orc. Chaos. Yeah, you can make chaos characters. Alright, archetypes. So yeah, each archetype will have a suggested loadout, essentially. It will have suggested attributes and suggested skills. It will give you your archetype skills. And some suggested talents. I love the art on some of these. They're quite awesome. And one thing I find kind of cool about this book is they had the opportunity to use a lot of art from the new Adeptus Sororitas codex. So they have a lot of the new updated art, which is a lot of it is from orders that aren't the Martyred Lady, which is kind of nice. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the Order of our Martyred Lady. They're like the Ultramarines. They are the poster child for that specific army. Did I pass them? Because we're in tier 2 now. I did. Alright. Yeah, I wonder if I can do this easily and quickly. Let's give this a try. Alright, cool. Yeah, I'll just do this briefly. So this is the Sister of Battle archetype. So we have our tier, we have our species, the cost of the archetype, the attributes that we're using on this, because we're going to be using the pre-generated archetype as it was. The standard skills that they get, so ballistic skill, scholar, and weapon skill. Their archetype ability, purity of faith. So purity of faith will be you and any allies within 15 meters gain plus double rank bonus dice to corruption tests. You gain plus double rank bonus dice to any test to resist the effects of a psychic power. Then we'll have our war gear, power armor, vestments, writing kits, chaplet ecclesiasticus, and then choose from either of the following options: a bolt gun or a bolt pistol and a chain sword. I think the power of the bolt pistol and the bolt gun are the same, but the range is different. But in this case, for Sephenia, since Cleric wants a chain sword, would Cleric be okay with a bolt pistol? And have that as the combination, bolt pistol and chain sword. And Cleric is okay with that. Awesome. Okay, and then influence will be +1. They're a servant of the Imperium, so they will have influence over the lesser subjects. And then we have our suggested attributes, which, if we take all these as is, will cost 28 experience. And if we take the suggested skills as is, that will give us all of these at a cost of 28 experience. Now, for those that are paying attention, you may notice that there is Leadership 1 on here twice. That is a typo. They are working on fixing that, but that does not factor into the XP cost. So we don't have to worry about that. We just have to forget that one of those exists. And then we have suggested talents, which we have down below. Diehard, Orthopraxy, Shield of Faith, and Repent. We only have enough experience to take 2 of the 4, I think. So we'll do a bit of a read through afterwards and see what fits this character. And that is pretty much that. Now, let's just do a quick little zoom through. So here we have an orc. Here we have an Eldari Corsair. Here we have a Ganger. I kind of like that art. That art is phenomenal. That's one thing I like about what's been coming out of the C7 games is the quality of art that we've been seeing. The Inquisitorial Sage is another favorite of mine. The Inquisitorial Acolyte is up there as well. But if you want to take a look at more of the arts, I would highly recommend you pick up the PDF or pre-order the book for when it's ready to go. And sorry, Luke was asking earlier about the upgrades. Do you think this improves upon the original version published by the other company, of which the name eludes him? The previous company was Ulysses Spiel. Yes, I fully believe that this is a better product now. They have ironed out a lot of the kinks. They have made it... They've improved the layout to make it easier. Yes, overall it is a better edition, in my opinion. Then... Always nice to see focus on the other sororitas orders. Is there Famulus and Dialogus stuff? There is reference to them. Let's pull that up quickly. It doesn't go into a lot of detail on playing them, but there is some information there. I'm just going to haul this back off. It probably would not be that hard to have an archetype created to have a Dialogus. Yeah, I'm sure it won't be a matter of time until we see some supplements for 40k. But I think Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay deserves some supplements first. They've been waiting the longest, and for the most part, the most patient-ish. Alright, so let's get back on track. So we have our tier, we have our species, and all that. We're going to take the attributes as is. So strength is 3. Toughness is 3. Agility is 3. Initiative is 3. Willpower is 4. Intelligence is 1. Which I've got kind of issues with, but that's... we can always fix that later. And Fellowship will be 2. So we'll just leave this blank for now. And then skills off the very start. Oh no, sorry, I totally messed that up. Alright, so I'm just going to roll back a little bit. We have our Archetype Attributes, which give us a strength of 3, toughness of 3, agility of 3, and willpower of 3. And then if we go with the suggested attributes, we would throw on 3 onto initiative, an additional 1 onto willpower, intelligence of 1, and fellowship of 2 at the cost of 28 experience. And then we'll do the same for skills. They start off with rating of 2 for ballistic. Scholar would be 1. And weapon skill of 2. Now, it's kind of hard to see in the left-hand column, but we put our starting attributes here as well. So for agility, we have 3, which will give us a total of 5. That'll be our roll when it comes to making ballistic attacks. Intelligence is used for Scholar, which is a 1 for a total of 2. Weapon skill is Initiative of 3, with a rating of 2 for the skill, which will give us 5. Indeed, praise the Emperor and pass the bolter rounds. And now I want to listen to System of a Down. Alright. Archetype ability. Where did we have that? Talents and abilities. I am just going to copy and paste this one. So Purity of Faith, we went through that earlier. Next up is our war gear. So we will put our Sororitas Power Armor for the armor. We'll look to see what the AP or the armor rating and traits of that is a little bit later. We have no place for... Oh, there it is, gear. So again, let's take that, copy that down. Reformat this a little bit. We said that Siphenia is going to have a bolt pistol and a chainsword. I mean, if we get you back for another game of this, we can make Siphenia Repentia. Just saying. And we'll delete that. Okay, and then next we have Influence of 1. And then now back up to the suggested attributes and skills. We've got the suggested attributes already in place. Suggested skills, we are going to throw 2 in athletics, 1 in awareness. We're going to bump up our ballistic skill by 1 to give us 3, which will make that a 6. Intimidation, a 1. Leadership of 1. Scholar of 2, which we'll change that to 3, and then weapon skill of 3, which will change that to 6, and then I'll just go through and populate these other ones quickly. Strength for athletics, awareness is based upon intelligence, intimidation is willpower, leadership is also willpower, and then that is that. So, 5, 2, 5, 5. Alright, so I'll go through this a little bit more on the next episode, the next session, but the way that the system works in Wrath and Glory is you have your attributes and your skills, and from there you make your dice pool. So if Siphenia is going to go and try and take a swing at, say, a Tyranid of some sort, she is going to use her weapon skill, which would use her, was that initiative? Yeah, her initiative plus her weapon skill rating of 3 to give us 6 dice to play with. And then from there, we will have to make one of those dice a wrath dice. So we would basically make one of them a different color. So she would have, say, 5 dice of one color and 1 die of a different color, so we know what the wrath dice is. The wrath dice is what you would use to also... I guess, determine whether you have a critical success or a critical failure. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know where else I want to go with that, but that's generally how the rolls work. Now, to succeed on a roll, you need to get a 4, 5, or 6. So, for those of us who are familiar with the tabletop war game, succeed on a 4+. When you are counting your successes, you count them in the form of icons. So a roll of a 4 or a roll of a 5 will get you 1 icon. If you roll a 6, that gets you 2 icons. That is also considered a term that is eluding me right now. But you could take that term that is eluding me right now and shift that to be able to get used in different ways, which we will cover more on Saturday. That's just a brief rundown of how that works. Okay, so next we have our suggested talents. So Diehard, Orthopraxy, Shield of Faith, and Repent. So let's skip to those pages. I'm going to just quickly copy these down, just so I know what I'm going to be looking for faster. Alright, so let's go Diehard first. Page 132. Diehard is, you're hard to kill. When you suffer your maximum wounds, you're not dying. Roll once on the memorable injuries table and heal 1 wound. You may not use this talent again until you complete a regroup. So it's kind of cool. It helps add some character to your character without sending them into a death spiral. So the way that I'm reading that is once you get down to your maximum wounds, you take your memorable injury, which is on another table, and then you get 1 wound added back. So you're able to fight again for the Emperor. Okay, now we have Orthopraxy. Orthopraxy is, the litanies of his holy word have burned themselves deep in your memory. You can recite hymns and prayers to the Emperor by rote and can use them to bolster your mind. As a simple action, you can begin mentally recanting ecclesiastical liturgies. Whilst you are doing this, you gain +1 bonus willpower for rank turns. So if you're at rank 2, you would have +2 bonus. But in this case, all of our characters are rank 1, so it would just be a +1 for this case. You cannot use this talent again until you complete a respite. Yeah, so basically you're reinforcing your mind against what's to come. Then we have Shield of Faith. Where did that go? All right, Shield of Faith is in a different section. 143. There it is. Yeah, so your indomitable belief steals your mind against warp witchery. You gain +1 faith. As a reflexive action, you may spend 1 faith to ignore a psychic power or effect until the end of the round. You may spend an additional faith to grant the same bonus to all allies with the Imperium keyword within 15 plus double rank meters. So in this case, I don't think I'm throwing anything with psychic powers at our players, so I wouldn't worry about taking this one too much. And finally, we have Repent. The righteousness of your indignation rings in the ears of those true to the Imperial cult. You gain +1 faith. You can attempt to force another adherent of the Imperial cult to repent using the force of your will. Spend 1 faith and make an opposed intimidation will test against your target with + rank bonus die. If you are in combat, this takes a combat action. If you succeed on the test and the target has the Imperium keyword, they kneel and repent for double rank times 10 seconds. Here's another one that I don't really think is going to come into play. Now, that being said, these are only suggested talents. We could go in and take whatever we want. A lot of the sister stuff has faith tied into it. So it won't really come into play for our one-shot that we're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks. But let's see if I can do a quick scan and see if there's anything that would be beneficial. The second one, Orthopraxy. Okay, so let's go back to Orthopraxy. Which there is a typo in the book. So I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Orthopraxy or Orthopraxy. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and dump that in there. There. Okay, so we know that one's taken out for sure. And you know what? Let's throw in Diehard just because it's a little bit more of an easier one to deal with over the course of the one shot. Which is, if you get down to your maximum wounds, then you get +1 wound and you get memorable injury. Alright. Cool. And for the most part, I think that is it. That is character creation right there. But let's go and flesh out our character sheet just a little bit more. Actually, sorry, let's first add up our experience spent. That was back, I think, on page 99. Yeah. Alright. Where's my... I'll just use my phone. Because, you know, simple math and all that. Alright, so being that she is a human, she has no experience spent for her species. To take the Sister of Battle as its base setup costs 94 experience. And we took the suggested attributes as they were, which is 28 experience. And we took the suggested skills as they were for another 28 experience, which is 150 at this point. We went for suggested talents. Diehard and Orthopraxy were 20 experience apiece, which leaves us with 10 experience left over because that all came up to 190. Let's take a quick scan back at advanced creation, because if we have 10 experience that we can play with, let's see if we can boost a stat or a skill or an attribute up, just to make her a little bit different from the other ones that we're going to make. I would love to be able to run a game with nothing but scum and gangers. Scrolling, 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 scrolling some more. Still scrolling. Advanced. I think I gotta go back a little bit further. Alright, here we go. Skills cost and attributes. Yeah, living dangerously as scum and gangers in a hive version of 40k, I think would be pretty fun. Alright, so there are some little mathematical errors on the skills cost chart, which will be getting fixed in the next iteration here. So, to have a skill at rating 1, your XP cost is going to be 2. And then your incremental XP cost will be 2. Let's try and decipher this. So then, if I'm reading this right, I wish there was something here that explained this a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like... you know, I'm confused by this. This is one that I know for sure that they're going to be getting sorted out. One second. Sorry. The example doesn't match what the block is saying. Yeah, I'm confused. So the way that I'm going to see this right now is it costs 2 experience to get skill rating of 1. It costs 4 experience to get a skill rating of 2. 6 experience to get a skill rating of 3. Yeah, so to get a skill rating of 2 from the very base, you would have to spend 6 experience. Yeah, I'm confused. So, let's see. What would Safenia want to spend some points in for skills? So she is going to be going with bolt pistol and weapon, chainsword, so those rolls are pretty good at 6 apiece. Awareness could be boosted up just a little bit. Even Medicae if... yeah, awareness, okay. So let's take awareness from a level 1 to a level 2. So saying what we were before, we would have to spend 4 experience to boost that up. Okay, which leaves us now with 6 experience. So, tech could... I don't think I'll throw much at them tech-wise. Persuasion, Medicae, stealth, investigation. Those I could see coming into play on Saturday. So stealth and survival, investigation. I think we have 6 XP remaining, right? So we can put like 1 point in stealth, survival, and in investigation if you like. And that works. Okay, cool. So we said stealth for 1, survival for 1, and investigation for 1. Investigation is intelligence, survival is will, and stealth is agility. And 4, 5, and 2. Cool. Sorry. So that rounds that out pretty decently. I'm going to now jump to the... actually, no, while we're here... So, conviction is equal to willpower, which is 4. Resolve is... I gotta expand this a little bit. Is that willpower minus 1? So in this case, 3. Your size, I think, is average. Average. Speed is 6. Defense. Initiative minus 1. So in this case, that would be 2. Resilience, your base toughness plus 1. So 4. Plus armor would be based upon the sororitas power armor. We'll get to that in a second here. Your max wounds are toughness plus your tier. So toughness is 3. Max wounds of 3. Shock max is your willpower plus your tier. Willpower being 4. And your determination is your toughness, which is 3. Plus we got plus 2 during the initial character creation. So that would be 5. Alright. Just gonna go to the chapters, war gear. Okay, so we need the bolt pistol and the chainsword. Alright, so weapons in this have traits. Each trait gives them specific keywords. It gives them benefits to their attack, different rules on how they have to operate their weapons or their war gear. Melee weapons or melee weapons. We got chainsword. Oh, and you know what? The eviscerator. Really need to stop touching that. Anyway, as I was saying, they have an eviscerator, which will make it pretty easy to get a repentia rolled up. So tomorrow or Saturday morning, I may do a repentia just on the off chance that somebody wants to take it. Okay, so chainsword. We'll start there. I see what they did. Alright, so this is going to be a little clunky. Okay, so dice pool for chainsword is going to be their weapon skill. So we have 3 in attributes and 3 in skill, a dice pool of 6. Their base damage for chainsword is 5. Their ED for a chainsword is 4. Now what ED stands for is extra dice. So when they attack, they have a base damage of 5. So if the attack hits, there's an automatic 5 right from the start. And then they have 4 more dice that they can roll. And I'll have to double check this, but when you roll ED for your weapon attack, a 4, 5, and a 6 is a success, like it's additional damage. A 4 and a 5 is an additional 1 damage, and a 6 is an additional 2. And I'll have to double check on how criticals work on that, because I think that comes into play. There is no AP on the chainsword, so no armor penetration. There's no salvo because it's not a ranged weapon. Range is close. And traits are brutal and parry. And then those would have the keywords of chain. It doesn't say Imperium, but I'm sure Imperium should be there. It's just chain and chaos right now. So I think that would go up into here. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll just leave that off for now. Or we'll go down here. Nah. I'll just leave them off. It won't really come into too much of a play for our one shot. Alright, so now on to our ranged weapons. Bolt pistol. So like before, we'll take our dice pool, which is a ballistic skill of 3 and a rating of 3 to give us 6. A damage for a bolt pistol is 10. Extra dice tossed onto that is 1. AP for bolt pistol, there is no armor piercing on it. And then it's not a salvo weapon. Its ranges are 6, 12, and 18. And then the traits are brutal and pistol. Okay. And then now we'll hit armor. More projectile weapons, orc weapons, Eldari weapons, combi weapons, different types of ammo, armor. Alright. Powered armor. Sororitas powered armor. Gives us an armor rating of 5. And it is powered 2. And then with that would come the keywords of powered, Imperium, and Adeptus Sororitas. And then there's other tools that come into play. The Chaplet Ecclesiasticus, I know that was in the list. The chaplet can be used as a symbol of authority, or if necessary, a garrote. Which is kind of badass. Just saying. And then there's a few others. So let's roll back to the keywords quickly. Okay, so we have parry on the chainsword. You can use these weapons to deflect blows. You gain +1 defense against melee attacks while wielding a parry weapon, so that's great right off the bat. It also has brutal, which also is on the bolt pistol. Brutal weapons inflict appalling traumatic wounds. When you roll extra damage dice for brutal weapons, results of 1 and 2 equal 0 damage, results of 3 and 4 equal 1 damage, and results of 5 and 6 equal 2 damage. So it boosts the output of the extra damage dice just a little bit more, which is kind of handy in the case of the chainsword, because you get 4 extra dice. And that is those. And then armor keywords. Those are weapon upgrades. Alright, so powered 2 is what we have for the Sororitas Power Armor. This armor is designed to augment the wearer's might through the marvels of mechanization. Whilst wearing armor with this trait, you gain a strength bonus equal to the rating. Additionally, you are not knocked prone when firing an unsecured heavy weapon. So, while wearing powered armor, anything that Sifenia would want to do that is strength base will give her a +2 to those rolls. So then her base attribute for that would be 5, which is kind of cool. And I think that is it. So yeah, armor is 5 for a total resilience of 9. So I'll have to just refresh my memory on how those all come into play when preventing damage. So all in all, I went through this a little bit slower because we're doing this for the first time and I want to explain it as we go along. But it was what, like an hour for the first character to go through? Chances are I'll be able to run off the next characters in like half an hour, if that. I'm going to talk with people on our Discord about doing a Repentia archetype, because that could be kind of cool to play. If not for this upcoming game, then having it handy for a later game. Same with the Celestians. Right, passive awareness is your awareness total divided by 2. What is our awareness? 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. I cannot remember if this rolls up or rounds up or rounds down. Let's round it up for now. And then we spent all of the XP, so there's nothing else left to spend. Nothing we want to do with notes. No psychic powers, no traumatic injuries yet, no mutations. Here, you know what? What color was Sifenia's hair, eyes, and any other information? Like, hair was blue, wasn't it? Oh, brown hair. Let's spell a notable right. Right. Cool. So then we have those for quick reference for next time. I gotta fix my chroma key. So I think that is pretty much that. Any questions from anybody watching in chat? And also thank you very much for everyone who stopped by to check this out. I think going forward in the future, I am going to... we're going to be running our news series every... Okay, so as we're having it, our series runs for 2 weeks. Basically breaking it up into 2 halves. That way it helps keep the sessions shorter. It's easier for people to be able to listen to during the week and get caught up for the next show. But then after we do 2 sessions, then we'll skip to a new game, but I'm going to insert like a week off in between. Originally, I was going to have a new game every 2 weeks, but now it's going to be a new game every 3 weeks. I found, even after one series, that it is very hard to get read up on a new game to be able to run it while I'm still learning another game. One saving grace was, for the most part, I already knew how to play Warhammer Fantasy, so that was an easy go-to. But in the case of learning a new game like this, it took me a little bit more to wrap my head around it because the system is just a little bit different. And the same thing will be for the next game, Soulbound. So once we finish Wrath and Glory in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be switching right over to Soulbound. Just because personally it's coming out right away, so I wanna play that game. I really do. I know Dad Hammer in the chat and I were part of the playtest for that, and we're both very eager to be able to play it and actually talk about it in detail rather than just hinting at it. So once this series is done, there won't be a break in between. We'll be jumping right to Soulbound, and then from there on I'm going to have that 1 week break in between. But during that 1 week break, on the Saturday probably, I'm going to be doing what I'm doing now. I'm going to go into character creation, because then it gives me more time to get the characters created, I have more time to read through, and more time to absorb. So every 3 weeks we're going to have a new game. After Soulbound, we are going to be tackling Punk Apocalyptic, followed by the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition starter set. And then shortly after, well, in the next day or two, I'm going to throw up a post to see what people are keen on seeing next. I have a short list that I want to look at, but we'll see if that changes here soon. So with that, I think I'm done talking, because my ability to talk is done. Yeah, you know, I used to play, Cleric of Court in chat was saying, ooh, VTM is so fun. It really is. I used to play that a lot on a lot of freeform RP servers back like 15, 20 years ago, back when it was like a revised edition. So it's taking a little bit to get my head wrapped around the new lore of 5th edition, but overall I think I like the system. There are a few things that are, I don't know, I would almost see as problematic in the setting itself and the way that characters are done up, but that is my problem. That's not everyone else's problem. The system, I think, is better than what it used to be. The Hunger Dice are a neat addition to it. But yeah, lore-wise, I'm not sure if I would roll full-blown 5th edition with the changes that they made, or if I would just keep going with where it was in like 2nd edition revised, because that's what I know. Honestly, I would love to be able to run a game where we started off in Dark Ages, and then the players, or like the character's child, would be the next generation vampire that we would play in Victorian age, and then move on to modern days with their child. So covering off like 3 different generations in a chronicle would be kind of neat. It'd be a lot of work, it would take a lot of time, but I think it would still be cool. So yeah, I'm just going to get the Discord link for the Wrath and Glory Discord. Where do I have that jammed? Right here. Alright. So in the chat right now, I have the Discord for Wrath and Glory. And then below that, I have the invite link for the Discord for Valkyrie Gaming's Learn to Play. For those who are not familiar, Valkyrie Gaming is a gaming group for gender minority tabletop gamers. So women, both trans and cis, non-binary, and gender fluid players. So this Learn to Play is kind of done in conjunction with that group, but also just a little bit separate. Yeah, if you have any questions about any of those, whether it's the Wrath and Glory Discord or Valkyrie Gaming in any of its forms, feel free to get a hold of me, ask questions. Yeah, I think that is it. So I am just going to go switch over to the stream ending. I'm going to be here for a few minutes longer in chat if anybody has anything that they want to ask. I'll get to those as quickly as possible, and if not, thank you for stopping by. I hope to see everybody here Saturday at 12 p.m. PST. That is this Saturday, which is May the 2nd, for our first session of Wrath and Glory by Cubicle 7. So, thank you for stopping by. Take care, and have yourselves a good night or morning or afternoon, depending on where you are.